3. So hi guys, today I will present about space race, and my group have Kevin, Jimmy, and Anthony. We are doing space race about the US and the USSR. So first we have the table of contents, which there are 6 parts includes. So first is the cost of space race, the government over the space race, the timeline, Apollo, Sputnik, and the last one is this the space race end. So my part is about the timeline and the part of number 6.
Hi guys, my name is Jimmy and I'll talk about the cost of space race. First of all, after World War II, a new conflict began with two races, and the most powerful countries were capitalist United States and the communist Soviet Union, and they were against each other. And secondly, beginning in the late 1950s, space would become another dramatic arena for this competition as each side sought to prove the superiority of its technology, its military firepower, and by extension, its political economic system.
So I'll go ahead to the here's the timeline. So first we have a video about John F. Kennedy's speech about the we will choose to go to the moon. We will choose to go to the moon.
Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
So that's it for the speech about John F. Kennedy. We announced that we will choose to go to the moon. So first is our timeline. So first in 1945 is when the World War II ended. The USSR controlled the European country in his power, which is Stalin. And that guy is following communists, which is very bad for the America because they are following capitalists. So in 1955, like this is a video about it. So this is when the space race start. When John F. Kennedy announced that we will choose to go to the moon, and then the USSR respond back. They will launch the first satellite into the space. So in 1957, we have the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, which is Sputnik 2, because this is when the first animal get into the space, and the ducks called Laika. In 1959, the US launched Explorer 1 into the space and reached the orbit of the Earth, but the USSR get more in the lead. They launched Luna 2, which is get out of the orbit of the Earth and then go to the moon. And then in Luna 3, they successfully take a picture of the whole moon out of space. In 1960 to 1961, the USSR launched Sputnik 5, which is carrying 2 ducks called Strecker and Becker into the space. And then the US respond back by sending the first chimpanzee into the space. So here's the interesting part, that the first woman into the space is called Valentina Tereshkova, and that is from the US, and another guy, that is from the USSR, and another guy is from the Soviet Union too, is Alexei Leonov. He lifted his spacecraft and become the first man who worked on the space. So in 1967, it's the most deadly year between the US and the USSR. So the US astronauts die when they are trying to launch Apollo 1, and then it's catch on fire, and then 3 astronauts die. In the USSR, there's a guy who died from the Earth's atmosphere when the parachute is not working, so he's dying from the atmosphere. In 1969 is the most impact years for the whole world. The US successfully go and land on the moon, and by Apollo 11, that is the most important news at that time, that there are about 700 million people who watching Apollo 11 go on the moon and land on it. So it's very significant in the future. I'll tell it later.
So I will talk about the Sputnik rocket, which is from Russia. So tell a bit about this guy. His name is Sergei Korolev. He was the one that carrier rocket design, and he the one that create the rocket. He also was a lead of Soviet rocket engineer and spacecraft designer during the space race in 1950s and 1960s, and he involved the development of R7 rocket and Sputnik. He also bring Laika and Yuri, which is the first human and the first animal to the space. This is the picture of Laika, which is the dog, and Yuri Gagarin. So about the evolution of Sputnik rocket, there are two versions of the Sputnik rocket were built. The Sputnik PS Crawl Index AK-71 PS, which was the used to launch Sputnik 1 and the later upgrade of Sputnik 2. Here the table that show the evolution of the Sputnik rocket changing over time.
So here's our essential question. This is the space race end. So to me, it doesn't end, like continues forever until human had reached to the further universe. So
in 1966, the USSR accomplished the first soft landing and took the first picture from the lunar surface during the Luna 9 and Luna 13 missions.
So after the space race end, I want to talk about it like 15 years ago from it until now. So first is the International Space Station. This is formed by 5 countries: US, Canada, Russia, Japan, and Europe. They are formed to help the astronaut and the human into further universe like Mars, and maybe we could get closer to the black hole in the future. The impact of the International Space Station is very large. It's helped a lot in searching and measuring all the stuff around the space. It's allowed an unlimited creative activity on the space, which is very good. And in 1998, the first tourism had go into the ISS, and his name is Dennis something. So that is the nation. ISS is the International Space Station. How about the private company who have more dream to go to the space? So first, here's a quote from Elon Musk. You want to wake up in the morning and think about the future. It's going to be great. And that's what being spacefaring civilization is all about. It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past. And I can't think of any more exciting than going out there and be among the stars. So here's a quote from Elon Musk, and then he's a co-founder of SpaceX. So I will tell more you about SpaceX first. So SpaceX is the American aerospace company founded in 2002, and this is a private company will swear to the world that they will launch the rocket into the space and then return back without using much material. So the purpose of making SpaceX is having something that's affordable price for target people who want to go into the space and look it by designs. And the last but not least is the reusable rocket. So SpaceX is trying to reusable all the rocket that they have launched into the space and then return it back without using much material. So here's the picture of SpaceX, who has the total launch of it, the total landing and the reflown rocket.
The Chinese lunar orbiter Chang'e 1 executed a control crash onto the surface of the moon on the 1st March 2009. This is the picture about the Chang'e 1, the one that get crashed, but they cannot get into the moon. But until on 14 December 2013 at 13:12, Chang'e 3 soft landed a rover on the moon. This was the first lunar soft landing since Lunar 24 and 20 August 1956. This is the picture about the Chang'e 3, which is the first soft landed on the moon. And in the past, the Lunar 24 they first lunar soft landing in 1976.
So that's it. It's my space. That's it is for my work, and here's the MLA format.